Hello, YouTube. It's your friend, your ally, your trusted advisor, Atticus. Stay a while and listen. I'm back with you today with a Skaven game, and I know that everybody's kind of doing Skaven right now, but it's because the new DLC is getting ready to come out. So, this is like the last time we're going to see some of the old, matchups and things like this, pre-DLC, pre-Regents Renown, and things like that. So I figured I would jump on the bandwagon like everybody else, and I'm joking. But I did figure that I would do some Skaven play, since this is, literally the last day. The Ever-Chosen tournament is tomorrow, and I'm pretty sure, if I had to guess, they're going to show some new footage. So, this is a really cool game. It's against Bretonia, which I think it's always a really fun matchup for the Skaven. So you have an army that's super mobile, who can be super mobile, has a lot of cav pressure against an army that doesn't, that has to rely on artillery and Death Glow Bombardiers and things like that to make up the difference. So, and this is my pretty reliable anti-Bretonia build, and it kind of covers all the different bases. So let's just jump into the builds, guys. So for my lord, except no substitute, we have the Grey Seer of Ruin. And I think Ruin is personally my favorite lore of rat magic over the other one. What is the other one? Plague. Simply because of one spell, which allows you to have the dreaded 13th spell, which allows you to have a unit of Storm Vermin. And these are the ones of Halberds. So, and it explodes. So, you cast a spell, boom, there's this huge explosion, and then all of a sudden you have a unit of Halberds, Storm Vermin, and those things aren't cheap. So he do have him, and he has all his buffs. I take all the different things. So he has like the leadership debuff. Let's see what it says right here. So you get the leadership buff for your army, and there's a debuff I thought right here. Where is it at? -4 leadership to your opponents around you. And for my other spells, guys, I do have Scorch, Unholy Claimer, which is a map-wide ability that will give leadership and vigor to your army. We also have Howling Warp Gale. Death Frenzy, which I like to use these on Storm Vermin whenever like a Grail Guardian or somebody will try to deal with my artillery. Put that on your defenders, and all of a sudden those guys are going to get melted. And so that's my lord, guys. For my front line, we're going pretty elite. We're going Storm Vermin with Halberds. So these guys are going to be for two different reasons. One is going to be obviously for the anti-cav potential, and for two is going to be for they can hold things in place. Now one-on-one against things like foot squires, they would lose, but supporting those two guys, supporting those two is some warp fire throwers. So these guys, it's the same thing with like Iron Drakes and the Dwarves, or who else has like a flamethrower unit? Is it just Skaven and Dwarves? Oops, sorry, my phone's going off. But these guys will actually just munch through Bretonian infantry. They also have a discouraged flame attack. So these guys, the Storm Vermin hold them in place, and the Warp Fire Throwers will just melt them into oblivion. Also, guys, we have some Death Glow Bombardiers, and these are the anti-infantry ones. So these are just thrown in for good effect to make sure nothing does break through my front line. And you can see, I'm kind of glad I did it, because my opponent did not go cheap on the infantry line. He's going pretty, the elite Bretonian infantry. God damn this phone. So we have one unit of those. Guys, we also have a unit of Skaven slave slingers. But I can't talk. And these guys, they're not going to really do that much damage. They're just in there to deal with like Pegasus Knights and things like that. Also, guys, we have one unit of Poison Wing Globadiers, and these are the anti-large ones. So, anything gets around my formation right here, these guys will hopefully be able to do some damage. We also have another one over here, kind of next to my artillery piece. And speaking of artillery, we do have one unit of Warp Lightning Cannons. It's almost a must in the Bretonia matchup, and I've invested a lot of resources into protecting it, because I was pretty sure he was going to try to goon it. And you see, he also brought a Beast Prophecy, so he's going to have Manticores. But we have a Clan Rat with Spears right here, Storm Vermin, and another Poison Wing Globadier. So that's my build. For my opponent right here, he brought a really cool lord you don't really see a lot. He brought a Prophecies of Beast. So I think he just has Manticore summon. Yep. So he just has the Manticore, and he also has the Bound spell. It's like a area of effect, like a bunch of rocks being thrown at you. For his front line, he has a bunch of foot squires. Looks like on total 1, 2, like 5 of them. A secondary line of archers. We have some poison, 2 poison ones it looks like, and then a bunch of cav guys. So we have some Knights Errants, 3 Knights Errants on this side right here. A Questing Knight over here, a Grail Knight over here, and some Royal Pegasus Knights. So really scary, cav army. So let's go ahead and jump into the match, guys, and see how it does. So right off the bat, as Tassadar of the Protoss once said, we're just going to start opening up. So I'm going to, find the greatest target, or greatest threat to my army, which is going to be these Grail Knights. And we're going to get a really good volley off. boom, 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 direct hit. We're going to kill, a whole line, maybe like 5 different models of them. So every shot is going to give value. These guys are a big nuisance, especially when you have a foot lord, a lord on an altar. These guys get in there with their anti-large attacks. I'm going to be in some trouble. You can see over here he has this really scary mobile force, probably looking for an opening to try to get into the round, but I do have a lot of things protecting my back line, and you can see we're absolutely just shredding these Grail Knights. We're doing a lot of damage. The front lines are going to start ready to collide. He is going to open up with the pox arrows, and yeah, my Storm Vermin are going to start getting shot in the face. These guys don't have shields, so I'm going to have to rely on their armor. And over here, guys, you can see my opponent is going to just commit to the charge. He's going to try to get in there where I wasn't braced, but I am going to stop just in time with my Storm Vermins. And yeah, we're going to start opening up with these Poison Wing Globadiers. You see he is going to try to pull away. He's not going to take that engagement, but he's going to get a really good charge into my Warp Fire Throwers with the Royal Pegasus Knights. But I have some Poison Wing Globadiers who are providing Overwatch, so no matter where he goes, he's taking some damage. Over here in the front line, guys, you can see that our armies have collided, but look at this damage my Flamethrowers are doing. And same with my... Let's go ahead and just slow it down here so I don't miss anything. So yeah, but yeah, look at the fire. These, I can't talk. Look at the damage those Warp Fire Throwers are doing. It's instantly just breaking the unit, of these Foot Knights, and you can see the same thing with these Poison Wind Bombardiers. It's such a good synergy between having like a frontline holding and all the range units that the Skaven do have. And over here, you can see this is kind of like just a one-on-one trade without any support. And yeah, the Storm Vermin are losing as you would expect. But yeah, over here, he really paid to take out those Warp Fire Throwers. I mean, these things are such an expensive unit. And you can see that I had these Poison Wind Globadiers. Just provide a lot of Overwatch, and we've almost melted those guys down completely. Over here, though, you can see that we're getting almost surrounded by these Knights Errant. They're trying to do their best to shut down these Poison Wind Bombardiers, but yeah, my Storm Vermin are just trying so much to keep up with them. But very wisely, my opponent is going to get a unit of Foot Squires here to get a pincher movement on my little defensive force there. So yeah, you can see over here my Grey Seer of Ruin is kind of exposed. He's all by himself, and you can see he's going to get surrounded, but at least I do have some ranged units providing that Overwatch. And yeah, you can see my opponent's going to get his first Manticore summon, which is going to land into my Deathglow Bombardiers, and he's doing the best he can to pressure my my back line. You can see over here, guys, I am going to get a Arcane Conduit off. I'm just trying to get some of my magic up, and luckily my artillery piece is shooting these guys. And I am going to have a unit of Storm Vermin with Death Frenzy. That was that spell I was telling you about. Come in, and yeah, all of a sudden these guys are going to have like 55 melee attacks. So they're actually going to shred through these questing knights and things like that. And you can see, guys, the front line, we have pretty much broken. We're doing really good, but my opponent is being really... wise with his cavalry. You can see he's getting charges in. He's going around my defenses. He's exploiting my lack of mobility. But yeah, my Warp Lightning Cannon is really just evening out for me. And you can see I am going to get my first Scorch right here. And it's not going to do that much damage. I'm kind of disappointed. It was a little bit underwhelming for all the Winds of Magic that I did use. Over here, guys, you can see that my Warp Fire Cannons, Warp Fire Throwers are getting just absolutely shredded by all these Knights Errants. He's just pressuring all my lines, and it's just, yeah, that's really hard. And over here, guys, you can see that these Foot Squires have also dealt with many of my Storm Vermin, and now he has my Poison Wind Globadiers out of position. Balance of power, though, is a little bit in my favor. You can see I'm just being really aggressive with my Grey Seer Ruin. We're getting into his archers, but he does have a lot of this cav and archers who have routed back. Bounce power is starting to come back a little bit in his favor, though. It's like dead even right now. And you can see over here the Knights Errants, and he has some Foot Knights, and they're fighting against Storm Vermin. So eventually, he's just going to get worn down. There ain't really much he could do about that. He needs those infantry to be able to deal with those Storm Vermin. But over here, you can see my Grey Seer just keeps getting caught out of position, surrounded by all these Knight Errants and Questing Knights and things like that. And I'm taking a lot of damage. I'm down to about half health. Over here, you can see he's going to start trying to go for my artillery piece, but I do have these Storm Vermin right here who are playing defensive. You can see we're going to get some really point-blank shots right into the face of these guys. Over here, you can see that the Manticore is fighting against some Storm Vermin right now, and that's all right. That's okay. It keeps those guys... it's a summon unit. It's good for him because it's keeping those guys busy. Over here, you can see that I have some Skaven slaves shooting their rocks at these Pegasus Knights. I do a little bit of damage. You can see we're killing a few models, so that's really great when you have like a 300 gold unit kill something like 1200. Over here, my opponent does have another unit of Foot Squires, almost at full health, and he really needs to get those into those Storm Vermin to be able to shut them down. Over here, guys, you can see my opponent is going to get a really good charge, but I do brace my Storm Vermin last minute to keep him from trying to get into my artillery, and I do believe I'm going to get a spell off to make those guys a little bit more powerful. So now here in the center pocket, guys, you can see that I have a really strong advantage. It's looking really good for me. You can see I'm going to get that spell off that I was talking about. Let's see what it is. Oh, it is the Prophetess is going to get her area bombardment spell, and it's going to do a little bit of damage, so that's the bound spell. Think of it like the Black Horror, the Supreme Sorceress. My opponent does have all these archers now starting to shoot in, and that's good. He needs to start wearing these guys down, and if he could do that, he might just have a chance, but I just have so much anti-large on the field, and his foot knights are the answer to that, but all the warp fire cannons that I had, or flamethrowers that I had, and all the bombardiers that I had, just really just shredded through his infantry corps, and now he just doesn't have a sufficient amount of ways to deal with all the anti-large. And you can see balance of power is actually in his favor now. I'm going to get another Scorch off by my Grey Seer. It's going to do a little bit of damage, and it's starting to add up. But over here, guys, you can see my Storm Vermin are absolutely just getting shot in the face, just getting shredded, and they're getting ready to break. My opponent is going to get a second Manticore summon, so yeah, that's really good. That's really going to put the balance of power really strongly in his favor, and he is going to send it in over my artillery piece. Luckily, I do have those Storm Vermin who can deal with it. You can see he's going to get a really good charge into these Skaven slaves, and yeah, now it's really just coming down to the center pocket right here, guys. And you can see these foot squires are dealing with the Storm Vermin, so especially with all the ranged overwatch of these peasant archers. So if we just go ahead and look at the pull away and look at the map right here, guys, it's actually kind of turned back in my opponent's favor. He's actually made a comeback. He still has this really scary unit of foot squires at full health, and if he gets in there to these Storm Vermin, they can actually kill him. You can see, though, I do cast Death Frenzy, which is giving me that melee attack, the immunity to psychology, and that's really important against like a Manticore with their, since they cause terror, and that's really going to, buy those units some time to deal with those Manticores. And you can see here, guys, my last little center pocket right here is really just trying to shut down these archers. These guys are such a threat to me. They're every volley is just taking out some of my anti-large. So yeah, we're just going to commit to it. And you can see we're just scattered around everywhere. Over here, guys, you can see now my Storm Vermin are surrounded. So we have a Manticore causing terror. We got some Knight Errants and some Foot Squires just totally surrounded it. So yeah, my artillery is lost, and this last little unit of Storm Vermin is completely surrounded. So it's not looking too good for me. At this point, I'm thinking, all right, well, I just need to shut down his archers and then try to regroup over here. Try to make a little bit of a defensive position somewhere where he can't get like cycle charges onto me and things like that. And you can see we are cleaning up his archers. So yeah, he is taking out my artillery, but I'm taking out his pox archers. So it's a little bit of a trade. Balance of power, though, is still in his favor pretty strongly. And you can see right now I have 500 models to his 382. But yeah, we're just rounding through all his infantry right here. I got to be careful not to separate my forces too much. I need to kind of keep everybody a little bit close. You can see I'm going to try to get a Scorch off right here, but it's going to do a little bit. I think I might just like nip on the tails, on the heels of those guys, but yeah, it didn't do that much damage. And over here, guys, my Storm Vermin are going to rout. You can see I was trying to get my artillery crew back into formation here, getting them back onto the units, but yeah, so we've lost that really strong advantage that we have. So now my opponent has what? He has some Royal Pegasus Knights, some Knights Errants, he has a Prophetess at half health, and he has a full unit or a half unit of Foot Squires, and against my 1, 2, 3 units of Storm Vermin of Halberds, 1 Clan Rat with Spears, and my Lord at about half health. So yeah, this is a really interesting part in the battle. So I mean, it can really go anybody's way. It's really going to come down to the decisions we make, from this point on. You can see that I do get some of my Clan Rats with spears to deal with some of his cavalry. And yeah, I mean, these guys don't have the greatest leadership. You can see I am going to use an Unholy Claimer just to try to get those guys to stay alive a little bit longer. And I figure any damage that we do to some of his cav right now is going to pay off. Anything we could do, especially with such a cheap unit, is just going to make it a little bit easier when it gets to gets down to the final battle right here. You can see that I did commit with these Storm Vermin. I said, all right, just escort these peasant archers off the map. If he does try to goon these guys, at least they can protect themselves from the cav. And you can see he does have a unit of Foot Squires over here by themselves, just kind of hanging out. I think my opponent did kind of forget about it. And you can see the same thing over here, guys. I'm using my Storm Vermin, just trying to get these archers off the map, because I have to do something about them. And they can't protect themselves, because all he really has left now is large, besides this 1 unit of Foot Squires, who he just doesn't have the mobility for. So we're going to commit to the last fight, guys. You can see that these spear units right here, these Storm Vermin, are going to get the Death Frenzy, which is going to give them immunity to psychology, weapon strength, and yeah, this is going to be really good. You can see how quickly that we take care of these Royal Pegasus Knights, because I also get a Helling Warp Gale, so this is going to rout those guys off the map. It's keeping them from moving, and this is it, the last really big fight. We have a Prophetess and a Grey Seer coming in, and my opponent, yeah, he just doesn't really have any cav now left to protect these Foot Squires, and balance of power has shifted a lot, back into my favor. You can see he is going to get a charge into these Storm Vermin, but every time he gets a charge in, he's losing 2 or 3 models. Storm Vermin just excel excel at that. You can see I'm going to get another Scorch off right here, and yeah, it does a little bit of damage, and it does a little bit of friendly damage as well. That's kind of how you play Skaven, though, right? It wouldn't be Skaven if you didn't kill some of your own units. You can see he's going to get a nice charge into the back of these Storm Vermin. He's going to pull out instantly, but yeah, we just have the advantage, guys, especially with my Grey Seer here. Killing the leadership of my opponent, and yeah, so now his forces are pretty much all routed. You can see all around the map here, we have full map control. I have some Storm Vermin here in the end if I needed to send them back for reinforcements. He does have these one unit of Foot Squires who he desperately needs, but I think he forgot about it. So now we're just going to collapse in on the Prophecies, and that will be the end of the naughty, nasty Bretonian peasants, filthy presence. So, yeah, that game was pretty intense. It was a little bit, everywhere. It really came down to dealing with those Foot Squires, though, guys. If we wouldn't have had all those warp fire throwers, the flamethrowers and the bombardiers, he would have just shredded through my cavalry, shredded through my Storm Vermin, and then I wouldn't have had no answer to all the, cav pressure that he did have. So let's go ahead and look at the in-screen breakdown, talk about some of the keys for my success. Oops, what did I do? Alright, so yeah, keys for success, was the synergy between having a strong front line that can hold infantry in place, can also protect themselves from cav, and also having all this anti-infantry units like the warp fire throwers and the poison wing globadiers. And we shredded through those guys. It was almost instantly. Those are what those units excel at. Also, the Grey Seer of Ruin is really good in this matchup because of that dreaded 13 spell, which gave me 2 summons of Storm Vermin. So yeah, and it's also an explosion, so if you cast it on like a glob of like cavalry, it does some damage. My artillery piece, I invested a lot of money in trying to protect it, and you saw, guys, it paid for itself. 114 kills, mostly against like Grail Knights and things like that. That's good value if ever you ask me. So as for my opponent Soyuz, really cool build, really competitive build. He had a lot of backline pressure, the way you want to play Bretonia. But, I think he got a little bit too eager with the Foot Squires. Like, he didn't support them enough. If he would have left some of these left maybe a few units of his, what am I trying to say? Left a few units of his Knight Errants to try to protect his Peasant Bowmen, I think he could have actually, focus down these guys, these warp fire throwers and the poison wing globadiers and things like that. But balance of power was strong in his favor for most of the match. So this build probably would work, and I do respect him taking the prophetess of a beast. So anyways, it's Atticus. I hope you enjoyed that Skaven game, guys, and I will see you next time. And welcome to everybody new to the channel. We've had a really big spike in subscribers, and that's awesome. We're on our way to 200 subscribers. So all right, I'll see you guys later. Have a good night. Bye.